Thank you. Thank you very much. Healthcare has always been a market that InterSystems has been deeply involved in since our very beginning. And it's also a market that we understand quite well on a global basis. And what we're seeing kind of around the world is that demographics are playing a key role in the pressures that are being put on healthcare systems. For most of the developed world, we're seeing issues with aging populations. We're trying to manage long-term chronic conditions that didn't exist when mortality rates were much different than they were. We're seeing the rise of very complex care models as care has become more advanced in areas like oncology. And most importantly, this is all kind of impacting things in terms of unsustainable costs that most health systems are facing kind of around the world. And that really means that there are additional pressures being put on folks like InterSystems and yourselves who are developing IT solutions into that market. So that very same demographic pressure that's driving all those impacts is also driving need for innovation in healthcare. We're seeing really kind of an unprecedented demand for data as the systems that are used in healthcare produce more of it. We're seeing kind of unprecedented volumes. There's nothing small in healthcare. Certainly when you look at key areas like imaging, like genomics, simply the size of the data that you're working with is growing exponentially. And another important thing that's really happening is that we're starting to see really innovation that's occurring at the intersection of data sets. For many years in healthcare IT, you were able to kind of stay within a comfort zone of being someone who delivered radiology solutions or laboratory solutions. And the need to more deeply understand patients is requiring us to look beyond that particular niche into broader areas and see the whole patient. And so to be able to do that effectively, you really need to have, big data platforms that can speak healthcare, as it were, and understand the different data types. But healthcare is really not a single market. It's rather a collection of different markets that all kind of come together at the point of care and inside the health systems to go ahead and make everything work. So it involves a lot of different moving pieces, from supply chain to the life sciences, and now areas like genomics and IoT are starting to really come to bear beyond just the traditional kind of EMR systems that we know. And innovation is happening somewhat unequally. If we think back to this notion that innovation happens at the intersection of data sets 150 years ago, the very simple idea that you could go ahead and take some limited diagnosis information and start to marry it with demographics really became the basis for public health and those first advances that we saw. Whether it was draining swamps or mosquito control programs, they were very simple just to say, people are sick here, they live here, that's where the problem is, let's address it. Now, if you fast forward to today, those same types of data intersections are reshaping healthcare as well. So we see the important terms and concepts that we think about. Things like population health, which combines claims data with clinical data to look at the health of populations and manage those cohorts. If we look at the idea of personalized medicine, and that's really trying to bring an understanding of your genome and marry it to clinical manifestations to start to get deeper insights into the individual. And within certain specialties, you see within the imaging realm, the idea of a vendor-neutral archive is to break a lot of the PACS images out of their little silo and start to add more clinical relevance so that radiologists can perform more advanced and effective diagnoses. So it's a concept that can really play out across each one of these areas. But when we talk about a concept of precision medicine, to get very precise in terms of our capabilities to deliver effective care to individuals, you really need to say, I need all of those pieces of information to come together. So I need to understand images, I need to understand the demographics of the patient, the societal factors, the genomic factors, to really be able to go ahead and manage either a population or an individual effectively. And so what that means for people developing systems is that, again, they need to move out of the comfort zone, and they need to start working with whole healthcare information, complete information as we like to term. And that will be the driver for true precision medicine. And for many organizations, gaining help to go ahead and work with things they haven't worked with before. If you're very comfortable working with claims data, the idea of looking at clinical data and dealing with the unstructured nature of it can be a little unsettling. But our platforms and our experience really help people navigate this world of complex data types and large data volumes. So we use the tagline that basically incomplete information is incomplete care, which is very true. And so if you go to any of your medical societies, there's kind of a major demand from all clinicians for more. Give me more information, give me more insight. And so all the healthcare solutions that are being delivered effectively and that will succeed must satisfy that need. So we see this as kind of a universal trend across all markets, whether you're in the laboratory space, working with, again, radiology, EMRs, supply chain, you name it. But the first step is everybody wants to make their solutions smarter, but you can't apply intelligence to data that isn't there. So the idea of being able to bring new data into your system to analyze it as part of your solution is very important. When clinicians say they want complete information, there's an inherent challenge in that, and that's that a lot of times the data sources are not clean. Live transactional data can be inherently messy. So one of the things that you need is a platform that can help bring it all together, that can normalize it so you can start to do the important analytics. And you need to be able to act on that in real time. Because if you're providing insight that's 30, 60, 90 days old, you can't impact things at the clinical point of care. And if you're able to do all these things, that becomes the basis for innovation, and that's really where we can help. Because as Bill and Steve have pointed out, with our systems, they're designed to do these types of things. Now within our kind of go-to-market products, we call them HealthShare. It's really a family, both of development capabilities, of solutions, packaged solutions, and then application development platforms. But they're really designed to work kind of in harmony. And so you can use as little or as much as you need to kind of develop your solution there. And despite the inherent complexity of a lot of things that are going on in the back end, HealthShare is really designed to do kind of four basic things that we see are fairly universal to all healthcare applications. And that's the need to connect to systems, but more importantly, as a solution developer, as a person or company that's creating a solution, you also need to really think about how you ingest that data, because you're bringing that new data into your system and making it part of your own for analysis. The ability to kind of normalize a bunch of different data sources so you get a complete longitudinal record of the patient is very important. And then what you analyze and visualize and present back to your users. And for our own solutions, kind of what we develop as a front end, things to act and engage with the end users. But we provide very sophisticated tools to make it easy for you to do that same. And so we have an application platform called AppServer that really Steve mentioned earlier. And it's the very same tools and capabilities built on the foundation of Cachet and Ensemble, and really adding some additional healthcare expertise. It's what we use to develop HealthShare, to bring our solutions to market, and we make it available to our partners so that they can really go ahead and speed their development time. So we take tools that allow us to go ahead and connect and ingest data from an interoperability standpoint, and then we offer it all also into a development platform that takes all those capabilities so that you can rapidly develop, easily deploy, on a global basis, solutions designed specifically for healthcare. Now, HealthShare App Server really follows the same principles that we look at that every healthcare application needs, and that's, again, the ability to ingest data and to normalize it and to analyze and visualize and to act on that. And it becomes a very, tight component that gives you everything you need to develop kind of world-class applications. Now, diving a little deeper, obviously it shares the DNA with Cache in terms of its data management capabilities, so all the things that Bill spoke about in terms of the new enhancements kind of carry forth. But it is a platform that's also designed to really understand healthcare data and to understand the different data types and what patient information looks like. And it is the leading platform in healthcare for developing applications. And within healthcare, the big data is only going to get bigger. A few estimates have put kind of the global healthcare big data volume at about 160 exabytes today. And depending upon the adoption of personalized medicine and genomic capabilities and things like that, it's growing fairly rapidly. So having a system that can handle, and not just really handle, but to excel at manipulating both the volumes and the nature of data is very important. Now, we touched a little bit about what we do and why is that important, because I think the global perspective that we have on healthcare is very important, both in terms of the volume, because not only are the markets responding somewhat unequally, but government investment in particular areas of healthcare is also somewhat unequal. So the view that we have across these different markets in terms of how we deliver our solutions and the unique understanding is very important in terms of the partner you choose. Now, we like to talk a lot about big data and our ability to handle billions of transactions, but it's equally important that not all solutions are big. Embedding technology into an infusion pump or into a device or to make it portable from a mobility standpoint is equally important. And one of the unique aspects of our platform is not only the ability to scale at the high end, which becomes in some ways an easier challenge, but also to scale at the low end, to bring all these capabilities to bear really at the point of care or into a compact device that you want to go ahead and deploy at the bedside. And we have not only the technology to do it, but a partnership and business approach that we can go ahead and customize the types of licensing capabilities that you need to fit with your business model, whether it's large or small. Now, every healthcare application has to be connected. You simply can't go, you're basically creating a paperweight if you don't have connectivity as part of your core capabilities. And healthcare is both interesting and unique in that capacity, in that there are many, many standards, and they're all in use, some from 20 years ago to newer ones today, like FHIR. And people that are working within the healthcare realm have to understand that you deal with a hybrid environment. There is no one way to connect, and your customers will expect multiple options to support. And we understand that as a company deeply and support a wide range of connectivity standards, both from kind of a US focus as well as international. So as you're developing a solution that you say will initially be for the Japanese market, but with an eye towards global opportunities, we can support you wherever you need to go. We have a history of basically creating interoperability with just about every system that's out there. So not only using those standards, but actually practicing that capability to hook up just about every type of system that exists in healthcare. And lastly, we continue to evolve capabilities to provide insight, whether it's patient-centric data models, real-time healthcare analytics for population analysis, the ability to track cohorts and to understand their dynamic nature. One of the interesting things about healthcare is that when you're managing populations, oftentimes you have to realize that people are not just one thing. I may be in a controlled cohort one day and an uncontrolled the next, and the ability to work with that dynamically and to drive decisions off that is highly important. So when we approach and when we work with partners, I think it's important to realize that all this complex technology can really be used very simply. If you think about your go-to-market activities and the types of innovation you need to drive, I like to use this slide often because it helps to kind of break down the idea that there's all this stuff and I need to take advantage of it at once. And when you look at your product roadmaps and the types of solution sets you may want to go ahead and deliver to your customers, you can take these pieces individually and say, I need to add some, a patient-centered data model. I need to go ahead and add a service bus. I need to add master data management capabilities, and they can all be consumed and seamlessly blended into your solution to really advance your time to market. And we have a long history of working with our partners, and I'm very proud to be, here in Japan and meeting some of you for the first time. But really, since our founding, we have a partner-centric model, and we depend on the domain expertise and the capabilities that our partners bring to go ahead and deliver advanced solutions to the market. So with that, thank you.